Can you record it? Wow, Scott, it's like it can read my mind. You're the best, Scott. One more adjustment. Okay.
Can
All
you
right.
give me control as well? Sorry.
Scott will do that, right? Hallbaker, or do I need to?
Anybody can do it now.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, welcome. We will get started. My name is Paula Burke. I am the Southern Region Director, and I'm about to finish up my 4-year term, and I've got the privilege of leading, kind of emceeing the State Officers Workshop today. We really appreciate you all being here. Hopefully you're all coming to Montana. I'm going to start packing myself this weekend. I'm one of those people. I like to get things in order early. And so hoping you're all planning on attending and really looking forward to this year's meeting. And hopefully you get a little time before or after. I'm super excited. My husband and I are going to go to Yellowstone after the meeting. Never been there. So looking forward to that opportunity. And we are doing this via Zoom today, mostly because Montana's going to look a little different than what we typically see at a national meeting. It's a little bit smaller venue, and we decided it'd just be easier to do this meeting via Zoom instead of trying to find a space and a time. It is a day shorter, so we really cutting out one day. We had to tweak a few things, but the one thing I do like about this is if you're not going to Montana, you can still get some good information versus us just meeting in at the meeting at national meeting. So what I'd like to do is just give a quick introduction of some of our other directors. And hopefully, if you're from that region, if you don't know them, you need to get to know them, or you'll be getting to know them shortly in this coming year as they come around and do state visits. But today we have Scott Gabbard with us. He's from the North Central region, and he is the director. And then Jennifer Bentley is the vice director. From the Northeast region, we have Nick Pollan. Don't believe he's gonna at last minute be able to join us. He had a family emergency he had to take care of. And then Andrew Ness is the vice director from the Northeast. From the South, myself and Sherry Sanders. I know Sherry's on today. She and I are both your directors. Sherry will be becoming the more senior director when I come off at the end of Montana. And then our two vice directors, Jennifer Pelham, she's from Florida, and then Lonnie, Lonnie, I apologize. I need to learn how to pronounce your name. Jensen C. He is from Texas, and I know I just butchered that, Lonnie, and I apologize. I'll make it up to you next week. And then the Western region, Aaron Esser, he's in Washington. He is the director for the Western region, and Betsy Green from Arizona is the vice director. And it's super important to, if these folks are from your area, please get to know them. They need to be coming to your state meetings. We will be asking when we're in our regional meetings about when your state meeting is, because we like to get that on our calendar, even if it's a year in advance. And we love coming out and visiting with you all, seeing your states, learning about agriculture there, hearing your thoughts, concerns, and then obviously we bring information to you as well. If you don't know Mr. Scott Hallbaker, he is our executive director, the man that knows everything. He's just amazing, and thank you, Scott, for all that you do. I know we have, I think I saw President Jensen on here. I believe you're on here, right, Scott? And then I know Cynthia is with us as well. She's our policy chair. And I apologize, I haven't looked at through the whole list. Oh, Connie Strunk, our vice president, is joining us as well. And I know there's probably a few other officers, so thank you all for being here. So we kind of have a bit of an agenda we want to cover today. And we're going to actually swap the agenda around a little bit since Nick isn't able to join us and Scott Gabbard from North Central has another commitment a little bit later. We're going to let Scott go first, Gabbard, and he's going to talk about executive director duties and some other opportunities. So Scott, when you're ready, if you want to share, I think you said you had something to share, correct?
Sure. Thank you much. So real quick, my assignment, if you will, was to go ahead and talk about the executive directors, versus the regional director versus the national officers, and kind of the roles and how that kind of all lays out, as well as touch on for a few minutes the Extension Leadership Council and the Professional Improvement Leadership Development Training as well, that we work with our sister organizations as well. So first of all, is that okay? What are the various roles? And of course, Scott's on with us, and we've also got some other officers, and of course, a lot of the regional directors are here today as well. So if they want to chime in and correct or clarify, I'll do like a 30,000-foot overview as far as how some things have weighed out. Like Paula herself, this is my last year as well, and so her and I will both be sunsetting up in Billings, Montana. But with regard to the executive director, Scott, who he's still on, Scott's our full-time executive director, paid employee of the National Association. And so with that, he has a tremendous amount of responsibility. As many of you know, that in your extension roles too, as far as someone that sees the mission through from a day-to-day standpoint, as well as long-term. And so Scott attends all of our national board meetings, and the officers and some of the regional directors I know burn his phone up, as well as some other people that are calling, as far as we seek for clarification, history, how things have done in the past, what's worked, what's not, and doing this for over 2 decades now, I believe. Just an extreme vast wealth of knowledge for us. One of the couple of things, some of the ministerial stuff he does is that if you have access to the website issues, that would be a simple email to the executives, exec-dir at naca.com, I believe is the email address. And he can help with that as far as making sure that everything's gone through. Because even though a lot of this is automated, as far as the website and your registration and your membership and stuff is concerned, humans still touch it. And so he's definitely a point of contact for that. Also some website issues that especially the regional directors usually hand that over to him or work with him, as some of the states kind of work with some stuff. That's also one of the things that he works with us on. And of course, one of the huge jobs that he's doing right now is trying to make sure that the registrations, hotel rooms, and all that kind of stuff is working out for the national conference. And so Scott's on overload right now, especially 10 days out. And but with that in mind, he does a tremendous amount of stuff with us year round. He kind of makes sure that the day-to-day work is done, and helps the national organization be the success that it is. As far as regional directors are concerned, and working with them, is that's where, if your state has a policy recommendation, or you see something that's working, maybe not quite right, or you have a concern, that's definitely a time. And that's one of the reasons why we try to either join you on Zoom or have after meetings. We have emails. I've gotten a couple emails this week already. But we also try to come to your states during our tenure. And the reason being is then we can have some of that sidebar conversations, over dinner, after the meeting, whatever, and kind of get a feel of how of the concerns of the state, and then how that then translates to the regional level. And then when we have our meetings, we say, okay, we bring it up at our national meetings, and sometimes the other regional directors and officers might not want to hear it, but if it's a concern, then it gets brought forward. And so that's kind of our role in that regard. Some other work too, it's basically same thing, but the liaison to the board is that each state in its rotation designates someone. It's a 4-year commitment, 2 years as vice director, and then 2 years as director, as far as representing the region in which they work. And so the Southern region has 3 members on the board. The others have 2. A lot of that's to do with size of the states and the amount of members. But at the end of the day, it's the idea of being that back and forth to the board. And so that's why we're coming to your states. That's why we meet with you. You call us, we call you, that type of thing. As far as the other thing too, is that most, maybe not all, but definitely a lot of us have had experience with hosting national meetings. And so if you look at the rotation of our representation on the national board versus maybe when the region hosts host society, kind of goes tangentially a little bit along that way. And so some of us have a lot of information with regard to hosting a national AMPEC, and not only that, but like other regional type activities too. And then lastly too, and Paul has already hit it, but the idea of your state meeting coordination and working with us so that way we can hear what your input is. But then also that helps us better represent each state when we're at the board setting, both on the policy side of things, but then also on some maybe tweakings to the AMPEC or other things that as far as professional development that keeps NACA relevant for you in serving your clientele in every state throughout the nation. Lastly is the president. Realize that the president, by the time they've done that, they have experienced stem to stern, pretty much working the inner workings of the entire organization during that 3-year stint. And so with that, they have a tremendous amount of background knowledge. Again, they're ones that know some of the ins and outs of all the councils because they had to oversee and work with each of the council chairs, a lot of the committee work that's gone into play. And so they themselves are a wealth of knowledge. And so you have the regional directors and you have the executive directors, but also the national president comes into play too. And then also too with the officer related duties. So as regional directors, we're voting on policy, also making changes, things like that, as you would expect a board to do. But then the officers themselves are the ones that are setting, for the most part, setting some of the agendas and taking the leadership role with the overall tone of how the board's operating. I would also say too, it's not just the president that you might want to consider, but also the past presidents and the past presidents, because if you're interested in hosting an AMPIC as far as your state's concerned, or doing a region-wide type of activity, all of them by default have had to deal directly with an AMPIC and how that partnership and exchange takes place. But not only that, a lot of them have worked with region-wide type activities too, and helped the states on doing that type of work. I'll stop there real quick. Are there any questions with regard to the officers, the boards, and then of course Scott Hallbaker's role?
Feel free to unmute if you've got questions. The other thing I'll mention is if you have a question, you can put it in the chat as well.
And can you read the chat? Because I've got too many screens up, Paul. If there are any questions, if you would bring them to my attention, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I don't see any. And Jennifer Pelham, do you mind just monitoring the chat for us?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. There's also, we have besides the AMPIC and our workshop trainings online and various activities, we also partner with our sister organizations and the Galaxy organization. So that would be that would include HHS, 4-H, and all them. And we have JSEP. So that's the Joint Council of Extension Professionals. And we have two major programs every year with them. The first one I'll talk about is PILD. And that one, I've got the upcoming date on there on the slide, coming up in April of next year. But a couple of things that I want to make you aware of. First of all, this is an extension that's professional improvement, leadership development, but this is a lot more on the policy side of things, and also working with our NEPA and other national partners. And so with that in mind, I would also recommend people that are interested in doing that type of work, or if you're assigned because of where you are within your leadership position in the state, is that make sure that your university is aware that you're doing that, because most, if not all, universities have some ground rules as far as rules of engagement, because in many cases, there is an opportunity for you to go to the Hill and meet with congressmen and other members on the Hill. And so with that in mind too, there's usually some rules of engagement out there for each state as far as what you can or cannot do, and say and cannot say, and contact and cannot contact. So want to make sure that you're aware of that. Definitely want to wear a comfortable pair of shoes. We'd be doing a lot of walking. And with that in mind too, is that I recommend that you also are somewhat familiar with the transit system there. So you have an idea. So that way, when you get there, okay, well, this train stops next to the hotel. It's going to go over here. It's a very nice system. But I would recommend a little bit of homework. It'd be in your best interest to do that. Of course, I know also too, some states just go in packs, and that's fine as well. You got the experienced person and everyone tags along. That's good too. The other program that we do is the Extension Leadership Conference. And this is the upcoming one will be the second time we've had it in Savannah, Georgia. So we had it earlier this last winter in February as well. And it's right downtown. It's a beautiful hotel. It's a beautiful venue. And actually, at least when we were there, it was very pleasant, very, very pleasant with regard to going, especially coming from Indiana or colder climates. It might be cold to the folks that are native to there, but that's quite nice for us. But that's the Extension Leadership Conference. And so where PILD might follow more on policy and national partners and things like that, ELC is more like an in-house extension training. And so with that, and it's extension training for all the disciplines. And so, I have found going to it that sometimes the HHS leadership training that someone might have held that coordinated food pantries in 3 different counties was quite enlightening as far as the network, how they set it up, who their partnerships were, all that type of work, some of the back end of what you need to do when you're leading in your local community, and some tips and tricks on that. And we always have a professional speaker. We typically have some other national speakers as well. And so that's also another great opportunity. Specifically for NACAA, in the last couple of years, what you'll find is that we also have a meeting that the National Association has with everyone, and we will go out and have dinner together. But we also have what I call like a mini AMPIC meeting, if you will, to where we kind of test the pulse of the states that are there with regard to some ideas that the board is having, maybe some policy revisions or some leadership decisions that we would like to do. And so it's another opportunity for us to directly engage the states from a leadership perspective and to get more input.
Excellent, Scott.
So if there's not any, I'll wait for a second for questions. Otherwise, I'll turn it back. And thank you.
Hey, Scott.
Yes, ma'am.
Just FYI, let the folks know about nominating committee being selected at ELC. Are you familiar with that? Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, for the regional directors and for everybody in attendance, when we're at Extension Leadership Council, there is an opportunity for you
On the floor.
to
Yeah.
actually become a member of the nominating committee, and you will actually interview candidates at the AMPIC or prior to, depending upon the scheduling. But they have 2 members from each region of the country and 1 alternate just in case. So just happened to think about that when you were talking about ELC, Scott.
Cynthia, I appreciate that. And the other thing for all of you that are joining us, I cannot imagine how many hours Cynthia has spent over this past 2 years, or definitely 18 months, on going back through with a fine comb. And if there's always a document that big, there's always going to be changes to be made. It's a living document, but with regard to our policy. And so I don't know if you posted that yet online yet, Cynthia, or if it has to go through.
It'll
Has
be
to be voted
approved
on, I
at,
think.
pre-board. It'll be
National.
approved at pre-board.
Yeah. But Cynthia has spent countless hours over the past year or so or more as far as trying to update our policy to make it better reflect NACA. And so what I always encourage all of you, and the other thing too, is that other people have worked on other documents too, with regard to the national, some of the other handbooks too. And so you want the handbooks as far as hosting and picks and stuff to go along with policy, but policy is the main driver. So best reflects the decisions made. So if in doubt, always go back to the policy manual. So with that, Cynthia, thank you. And Paula, thank you.
Thank you, Scott. I did want to point out that, thank you, Betsy Green. She added on the chat the NACA article, a link about do's and don'ts for working with your legislators. So you may want to check that out and click on that before we exit. And I don't think we had any other questions. Any other questions for the group for Scott?
Yeah, that's a very good point. But also make sure that one of the key things is make sure that your university knows you're going, because you do not want that phone call if they're surprised.
Absolutely.
And also Cynthia asked people to go ahead and put their name and state in the chat for attendance purposes. So I see several have, but just making sure that got mentioned. And
Thank
you can switch your display settings if you want, so that the slide shows full, Paula.
Okay,
Up in
I thought
center.
I was. So you just see my notes, or you see
I
the-
can see the second slide waiting to come up on the right. So
Okay.
the next one over, slide display settings, I think, left. There you go.
Thank you. It's been,
Go up presenter. There you go.
is that better?
There it is now. You got it.
Okay, thank you. It literally has been a minute since I've hosted and shared stuff. I was an expert during COVID, but not so much today. So thank you for your assistance. All right. Well, thank you,
That's a
Scott.
good thing.
Yeah, yes, we're doing more face to face. So, so thank you, Scott, for sharing all that. I'm pretty sure I didn't see Nick's picture anywhere, so I'm gonna pitch it for Nick. And he was very sweet to send me his PowerPoint. But literally, this is the first time I'm seeing it, so bear with me a little bit. We had asked him to talk about the duties of the state officers. And so some things to think about if you are president or going to be president for your state, some things to think about, some duties that we suggest when it comes to NACA is first, you're going to assist in developing, selecting, and nominating members from your state to serve as national committee chairs and vice chairs. And you're going to want to stay connected and stay informed. So we do that in a variety of different ways between the County Agent Magazine. You're going to want to look over the NACA bylaws, maybe print them out, print out the handbook, be aware of, webinars, and be looking at those emails. So as state president, your members are going to really be looking to you to make sure you stay connected. It's always great when you can send out I'm sure like most states, we in Georgia here, we have a listserv for all our members, and we're able to send things out to remind them. You really should be the one hopefully reaching out to invite us regional directors to your state association meeting. And we ask that you consider waiving our fees, the registration. Many of you do have a registration. Obviously, NACA is always prepared to help us pay our way to go. Obviously, we're not going to necessarily ask for travel or hotel, but I've been asking Southern states, and thank you Southern states that are on here, to at least waive our registration, and that just really helps out NACA, and we appreciate it. But also plan on us for some time on your agenda. Most seem to have us during your official business meeting, but it really can be whenever it fits best into your schedule. And if you have any information you want us to cover or bring up at an NACA board meeting, or while we're there, we're definitely able to do that. You'll also be updating your state leadership and committee chair list immediately after your state AMPIC. So it's super important, especially for some of those smaller states. Maybe you don't have a chair for every committee, but please be sure, you want to make sure you keep them updated, because if not, as state president, any NACA committee information email will go directly to you as president instead of directly to the chair of that committee. So keep that up to date, and that will keep your membership up to date as well, and it'll be helpful to them. Attend the state officers workshop. You're doing that today, so thank you. I think I saw over 60 people on the meeting today, which is fantastic. And then as president, you should plan on attending the national meeting. You have a great opportunity when you're there. Most years, I don't think we'll be doing it this year, but typically we have a flag presentation. We like the state president to be the one that presents it. But these are the upcoming meetings. Obviously, we're going to Billings next week. And then in 4 years, you'll be in my state in Atlanta, Georgia. So get these dates on your calendar, and especially if you're a vice president, you're going to be coming to some of these upcoming meetings. We'd love to have you each year. Encourage your members with outstanding programs to submit oral and poster presentations and submit for awards. I'm sure you hear about your colleagues, all the great work they're doing. It's always great when a president can encourage their membership to be sure to take advantage of all those great opportunities. And then you're going to be working closely with state officers, the directors, committee, and chair councils, and national leadership to kind of just build a stronger professional improvement organization for your state. And then there are some deadlines and Excel forms for state presidents at that website there. So you're going to definitely want to check that out. Just some different things of when things are due as president. So kind of moving on to the secretary. State secretaries are responsible for providing NACA with any changes in their offices of their association. Officers should be reported to the NACA member database. So again, when you have your elections, typically the state secretaries are asked to be the ones to update that. And again, very important, so NACA knows who to communicate. All the committee chairs and council chairs know who to communicate as well with in your state as needed. I use it all the time, and as a director, trying to figure out who's in charge and who I may need to communicate if I hadn't already heard from you in terms of when your state meetings are. It's the responsibility of the state secretary to notify NACA as soon as the state elects their new officers and confirm that their member database is up to date. And if anytime if positions, addresses, phone numbers change for officers, the secretary should get them corrected on the database. And just like for the president, there is a link for the Excel forms and deadlines and things at the link there. All right, and then just checking my notes here. So he has some information here about the national recognition and awards. This would come from, you know, from your officers, from your state leadership. There's a couple different opportunities that we want to make sure states are thinking about. One is the Service to America World Agricultural Award. This is due March 15th, much like most of our awards. And to recognize as U.S. citizen who's made a major contribution to America and the world agriculture. It's nominated from the region hosting the current AMPIC. So, for instance, this year it'll be coming from, I guess it's the Western region, right, from Montana. And so when it moves around to each state, that'll be the region that will nominate someone for this award. So basically, there's one each year, and it moves around the country. With that said, states within that region can submit their application. So more than one application could come in, but it just needs to be from that region that is hosting that year where that meeting is. Hall of Fame, this is due January 15th. And this, we have one winner from each region each year. So every region will have someone selected. So for instance, like for Southern region, you know, we may have a handful of different applications from each state, and then one will be selected and one Southern region person will be recognized. But this is a person that's either a current or life member of NACA that demonstrates commitment, dedication, effective leadership. You've just been an outstanding ag agent, even you know, at the state and national level, and then typically has done a lot of community service, outstanding humanitarian service. So every state, it'd be great every year if every state could nominate someone, and eventually there's one from each region. So again, states, think about some of your, you know, folks that have retired or even that can be current members that would fit, that really stand out to you with their commitment and service over the years. Most of you probably are very familiar with this, are distinguished service and achievement awards. Distinguished service is obviously anything over 10 years. And that application is due by the 15th. And then under 10 years for the achievement award. And this again is based on your total, at your total membership. All right, I see a couple questions. I'm going to stop for a second. So what date does NACA officers transfer? It looks like at the, yes, conclusion at the AMPIC, and that would be for your national officers. Now, in your state, as Cynthia said, that's going to vary. You know, someone is Jennifer Pelham's going to Oklahoma after the Montana meeting. You know, and that's, I'm sure, that when they'll be doing their election. So for statewise, it definitely varies each year. All right. Let's see. I've skipped wrong. Okay, so kind of continuing on with the awards, there is the Ag Awareness and Appreciation Award that members or a team can be recognized for their public relations. So there's some information there. And then don't forget, there's actually some awards that can be applied to for the JCEP, Joint Council of Extension Professionals. There's a Creative Excellence Award, which is individuals or teams that have unique contributions. So be thinking about that as well. Council chairs, along with the NACA vice president, reviews those. So, and those are awarded at the JCEP meeting. And then just remember, NACA members need to be in good standing with their state association to be eligible. Team entries are permitted, but only NACA members will be recognized. So, if you collaborate with, USDA or something like that, it's only your NACA members that will be recognized. Also remember, we just went into effect this year with, having your dues on time. To be eligible, your dues have to be paid on time, or you're going to need to be paying a fee. So, but Search for Excellence is due in March. Lots of areas there that can be applied for. Communications also due March 15th. A lot of different subcategories there. I'm not going to take a lot of time on this because I think probably most of you are familiar with it. So, and that was the end of his presentation. So any questions on some of the duties and things you should be thinking about as a state officer? Can I email that PowerPoint out? Yes, I can. I can definitely do that. I think Jeff had asked that.
I
Hey,
just wanted
Paula,
to,
I just wanted to add if you see changes that need to be made to the officer handbook, please let me know. Any of the state officers, as you're reading through the manual and you see something that needs to be corrected or edited, please let me know.
Thank you, Aaron.
Okay, Connie, go ahead.
yep, and I just wanted to point out that the Ag Appreciation Award that was talked about has been moved into a Search for Excellence, and that committee is no longer, so that'll be 9 Search for Excellences versus 8. So the slides that were just presented had a slight modification error on there, but it'll be addressed in the updated committee handbook that I will discuss.
Thank you, Connie. I did hesitate on that. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought that got changed. So thank you. Thank you for re-clarifying that. That again, I didn't put the PowerPoint together, so I wasn't prepared on what was on there. What are you folks seeing now? Are you seeing the agenda? I'm getting a yes from Cynthia. All right, thank you. Because I'm really out of practice of hosting a Zoom here. Okay, so Nick and Scott, that part's done. So Sherry Sanders from the Southern Region Director, you are up next, and we'll turn it over to you to talk a little bit about NACA operations.
Hey, so I want to share my screen if I can. So I'm going to try that. Let's see what y'all are seeing. You're seeing my dashboard, Paula?
Yes.
Okay. So number one, thank you for being a state officer that's on this Zoom, because that shows, in my opinion, you're cream of the crop and that you are trying to do your job. Some of you may be the Lone Ranger from your state that's on, but I wanted to share with you. I know we are feeding you a lot of information today, and it could be like drinking from a fire hose. And you're thinking, oh, I don't know how to take notes on all this, but I want you to rest assured that's our job. That's our job as your directors and your vice directors to answer those questions. Even those that you think that's probably a dumb question. That's our job to help you. And so that's the entire reason that the board sees the value of having vice directors and directors, because we are your liaison, just like what Scott just said. So in order to be a solid member of an organization, you need to kind of know what the bylaws and the policies are. And so you probably are familiar with that on your state level, because you probably have some bylaws and rules there. But on the national level, I just wanted to show you where this is. And I'm just going to be dead honest with you. Just a while ago, I kept thinking, where in the world are those policy and bylaws? So guess what I did? I texted Scott Hallbaker and he sent me this back. So it's on your member dashboard right here, right right to the right of your name. And this is what that policy handbook looks like today. Okay. Scott Gabbard had talked about the fact that Cynthia has been working on this policy handbook for eons of months, and we have a brand new one with the corrections and the updates, and she'll present that to us at our pre-board meeting. So I would say probably right after the AMPIC and billings, you'll have a brand new policy handbook. But regardless of what it is, you can find it there on your dashboard, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to share that with you. Now, let me get all this other stuff out of the way if I can. So I don't know if I can get rid of it. So there's that. And then I wanted to talk to you just for a second about Aaron, I think, mentioned it. We have a state officer's handbook that was just redone. Scott Hallbaker and I just worked on it, and it was just redone by the first of the year. And so it's out on this website right here, and it tells you exactly what your job is on your in your area. So if you're wondering what does the treasurer do or what does the secretary do, we've got it right here for you to download. So it's just been revised lately, and so you all can look into that if you'd like to. Okay. Now, my other assignment today was to talk to you all about the dues policy. And in recent years, I'll just be honest, we had some, I'll stop my sharing because y'all probably don't need to see my website. So in recent years, we've had some folks that had some issues of getting their dues turned in on time, and we're all adults. So this is our policy. Pay your doggone dues on time, okay? And so we have a new policy that says your dues for your state association are due to Scott Hallbaker by January 1. That's the due date. They become delinquent after February 15th. A $10 late fee will be levied to the membership dues if it's paid between February 16th and March 15th. Okay? So we need you to get your dues turned in on time, or there will be a penalty levied against you. Why is this important? This is important because your voting delegates, your AA members, and your DSA people that you recognize are all based on your membership roster. And so if you guys are lollygagging and not turning that in on time, we can't get you what you need for the March 15th deadline. So it's gotten better, but if you're brand new to the job of being the treasurer and you're brand new to being the president and you may not have known this, we want to take this opportunity to make you know and make you aware that we want those dues on a timely manner, and it's for your benefit as a state association so that we can equitably count your AA, DSA, and your voting delegates. Okay? All right. Now, Scott Gabbard did a really good job of talking about the directors and our roles as coming to your state meetings. I just got back from Kentucky yesterday and North Carolina the week before and had a great time. But it's not about me having a great time. It's about me and the other directors and vice directors being your liaison and your voice to the board. And then Scott perfectly said it when he said there's a lot of sidebar conversations. And I'll just be honest, there's a lot of things that the South tells myself and Paula, and she and I'll talk about it, and then we'll be at a board meeting, and then Scott Gabbard or Jennifer Bentley or somebody will say, yeah, my people mentioned that too. So that makes us know that we've got an error somewhere, or we've got something that we need to approach, or that we need to consider based on our feedback that we get at these state meetings. So if you haven't been elected as a vice director, it's the best gig on the entire board. And so there's a rotation between the states in each region that do that. That's listed in that policy handbook. And make sure that you all are trying to vie for that position if you want to. So you just have to do a little training, and that's fun too at certain stages of your life. So Paula, I think that takes care of everything on my list.
Any questions for Sherry? You're a quiet bunch tonight, but we
I have
appreciate
a
it.
question. Tom Butzler from Pennsylvania. Yeah, so for the director position, you go to these various state meetings, their annual meetings. Is there any balance between, do you go to everyone face to face, or do you do some of them via Zoom, or how are you doing all that logistics and travel?
So
The way we do that, I'm sorry, Paula. Go
no,
ahead.
you go ahead.
Okay, the way we do that is you hire on for a vice director, okay? And your first 2 years as a vice director, there's not much traveling, unless, like in my situation, Paula and I were double booked, and so I asked Jennifer Pelham to cover Alabama for me a few weeks ago because Paula was somewhere and I had a state master gardener conference in my state, and she was able to do that. So you do your main traveling as a director. So we've got 13 states in the South. And so Paula will take care of 7 of them one year and 6 the next, and I'll do vice versa unless there's a conflict. And then we'll go ask the vice director to cover for us. Okay. So the goal in life is for me to go to all 13 of my states in a 2-year plan, 2-year program. Some of mine are only on Zoom. So I zoomed into South Carolina because that's all that they offered. And there wasn't much sense in me going there for 1 hour, so I zoomed in. So it's based on what your state associations do. But the inclination and the commitment from the board is for you to be face to face with those folks. So because you're their representative on the board.
And explain about travel expenses, Sherry or Paula.
Well, Scott had already said that during his. Your travel is paid as a board member going to those meetings. It's no expense from your county or your state travel. It's the NACAA pays that.
But that would be for the directors. As vice directors, well, if you're going to a state meeting as a vice director, it would be. But as vice directors, going to the AMPIC as vice director, your registration is covered, but not all your travel is. So for me, those first 2 years, I asked my state association to cover what NACA did not cover when it came to going to board meetings. But state meetings, the NACA board would cover your total cost to go to that state meeting.
As
So
long as
personally-
as long as it's sitting in for a director, not both.
Yeah.
Correct.
No. Does that help you, Tom?
Sure
There's a
does.
question
I'm
from
good.
Jeff in the chat.
So Jeff is asking if a regional director has an expertise, would they be willing to provide a breakout session topic at state meetings? I would say
Sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, when I served as director, I was asked to be a keynote speaker, give invocation, present awards, address certain topics. So yeah, I mean, it's really between you as a host state and that regional director, what they're willing and able to accomplish for you. For me, I wanted to be put to work when I was there versus just only being there.
Yes, but I also don't want to. I want to do what you guys want me to do, as much as anything. I don't want to hijack your meeting, but if I'm traveling, I want to. I don't want to just be some guy hanging out in the corner.
Some states actually have really, really great places where they travel. So, basically visits different parts of their state. And that's a great time to go and meet a lot of the people from that.
Like
Absolutely.
Ocean City.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but definitely as directors and vice directors, we get a lot of great experience coming out to your state and seeing a lot of amazing things. So any more questions for Sherry? All right, Sherry, thank you so much. Next up,
One more thing about that, Paula. Sherry
Sure.
said it's the best position on the board, and I do agree. It's not the travel though that makes it the best for me. It's meeting all the wonderful people within the system we work in is just overwhelming. The talent we have in extension across states is super cool.
absolutely, you're absolutely right. And then to see all the great agriculture, especially if your state does a farm tour day and visits. I got to see crawfish come in live and go out in a frozen package a couple weeks ago in Louisiana. It's pretty amazing hanging out with everyone and seeing what your state does. So very good. All right. Connie Strunk, our vice president, is up next. Connie, are you sharing anything?
I was
PowerPoint or
just
anything?
gonna pull the website to show where the committee handbook is, the committee's information.
She's going to talk about committee structure, and then she's also going to talk about how you as a state could host an AMPIC.
Yeah, I've got 1,000 things open, running massive different things today in preparation for next week. All right, talking about the committees as vice
Here's the
president,
deal.
talking about committees as vice president, that is one of the big duties that I work with and oversee, in charge of. You know, I can't stress it enough that the committees are really the lifeblood, the structure, the backbone of our association. Within the committee structure itself, we have multiple committees that we work with. If you're not familiar with where to find information on committees, when you're logged into the system, across the top on the green, you're going to see the leadership and contacts information. If you highlight that, kind of pull down, you're going to see committees or committee handbook. And if you click on committees, pulls you to the next website or web part of the page here, where you see the committee web pages that are set up for different committees. And I know we're fixing to add a few new committees, not new committees, a few committees to have a new page on our overall website just for historical information and some data there. But underneath committee leadership, you'll see the 3 different councils, and then our other committees that we have, or special assignments within the councils. This kind of lists out what the current structure is for currently today, as of June 20th, 2025. Come July, it'll change because that public relation and ag awareness is being dissolved. That's the one award that's going to be rolled into Search for Excellence. And then if you notice on the left here under the Professional Improvement Council, Natural Resources and Aquaculture and Sustainable Agriculture, they're going to be merged into one committee. So some slight changes there. But within the committees, all committees openings are advertised in like that December, January county agent magazine. I mean, it'll be available also on the website within the county agent magazine to kind of see at a quick glance who is or what positions we're hiring or looking for, if you will. But let's just click on Professional Improvement Council here to kind of walk you through what we mean by what positions are open. So when you scroll down here, let's just look at the first one with 4-H and youth programming. Heather here is listed as our committee chair, and it's got a 25. 25 means that is when her term is up. If you look down below, you'll see like Mark is listed as a 26. That's when his term is up. So that means when we're looking for committee chair, anybody across the nation can apply for that position. The committee chairs are a 2-year term. The vice chairs are a 2-year term. So like Mark's position, Western region is up in 26. That would be specific to the Western region. So if it's got a region behind it, it's specific to that region. So applicants within that region. So the numbers are when that term is up. Some changes that have been done to the committees just for ease is all positions here, as you see with the committee chair and vice chair, they're a 2-year term. All committees are now a 5-year or a 5-person committee. So we have one chair, which is from anywhere across the nation. And then the 4 regions. So we have a region representative and then a committee chair. So all of them are 5. And then those positions are each 2-year. Now the council chair position is a 3-year term. And one council chair is up each year, all depending on how things work out. In order to be considered for committee leadership, your application must be submitted by March 15th. You would find that, if you go back into your dashboard and you scroll down underneath applications, it says the word leadership application. For many of you, this is what you have done. For some, kind of like just a reminder. So this is where it would start, right? So you'd put in what position or positions, and we'll have like a drop-down checklist, and you can apply for more than one position in this one application, or you could, if you really wanted, submit multiple applications. And then it'll ask you a couple of questions, such as, which AMPICs have you attended? And then it gives you opportunity to list any positions that may not show in our national database. So you could add in any of your state stuff if you would like. And then biggest key here, and I cannot preface this enough because it is highly looked at. All applications are read and reviewed by the vice president and the EPC, which are made up of the 3 council chairs. So the questions that we really look at are list your significant program accomplishments and summarize your daily responsibilities. So like, what makes you back in your home state? What have you done? What are you hoping to do? Or, what have you hung your hat on, so to speak, back in your home state? And then this other one, explain why you're interested in and should be considered for this role. Now, obviously, the standard answer a lot of people have is, well, I want to be more involved in NACAA. That's great, but tell us a little bit more. Why do you want to be more involved? What are you hoping to do? What are some changes you might have? What are some ideas? Really show us that you've put some thought into it. So those are just a couple of questions. And then, the little click box, I agree. The biggest thing that we had people struggle with was hitting that I agree and the save and continue. So some applications never came through the portal. And so I apologize for that. I don't get to see it on this end or the rest of EPC. So we don't know that you applied unless you click that save and continue. So again, leadership application, you'd find that underneath your dashboard, due March 15th. So that is highly important and really put some thought into your application. Any questions on the overall committees? Because with the committee, we have the national and then the hope. We've tried to have increased communication with the committees, 2 state chairs. I know overall some committees did a fabulous job. Some are still working on improving that structure from national to state and hoping that the next leg is from state to their members. So sometimes the state chair would receive it, but never shared anything with the members. So we need that overall sharing of information to all levels there. But I would be happy to answer any questions in relation to the committees. If anybody has a question on that. I don't want to spend too much time on it because we can't, we're not looking for applications until next January through March is kind of when the application timing is. All applications are reviewed after March 15th. If you miss that deadline, you're not considered in the first pool of applicants. You will need to revisit or take a look. The EPC will take a look if they have an open position and you've applied, but after the deadline, then they'll consider that application. But March 15th, highly important. I'm going to put some time into that application. If there's nothing about committee structure, I will just briefly talk about how to host an AMPIC. with the how to host the AMPIC, can your state host it? My question to you online right now, who has more than 9 members? Any state have more than 9 members? Okay, I see some head nods. I see some thumbs up. Great, then you can host an AMPIC. Because 10 years ago, South Dakota hosted AMPIC. We had 6 core members and 3 additional that really helped us out. So, that was the core staffing of who we had back in 2015. We had some great buy-in and help from our neighboring states, North Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, assisting us. Don't be afraid to ask. People are willing to help. I mean, that's what we do in Extension, right? We help one another out. We're trying to do the best for our producers and ag educators. Well, same within yourselves. So don't sell yourselves short by saying, oh, I don't have enough membership. You can do it. You might have a small and mighty bunch, but it can be done. So start with a positive attitude. You can host an AMPIC. Do you have to raise $1 million? No, not at all. It's used to be between like 150, 200,000 would give you a good cushion. Now, granted, prices are a little higher today. So within the 10 years, you might want a skosh more than that, but we're all relatively frugal people and can get things done. So don't worry about the money, work together, but communication is key. Work with your going to be national president, work with the board to make things happen, because maybe your university or you're not allowed to purchase X, but the board can't. So you can do what we call kind of some horse trading back and forth with that budget. And so the nice thing is with hosting, it's 4 years out. So you would bid now. So right now the Northeast is putting in a bid to host in 4 years. We've changed the way some of that RFP is. We're not mandated to do a 5-day AMPIC, because what are we going to be doing next week? It's going to be 4 days. So you have some opportunity to make some changes within the structure a little bit and kind of change things up. So don't think that it has to always be done the way it's always been done. I mean, it takes a little bit more foresight to think through some stuff, but it can be done. So that RFP allows you some opportunity to make some change. If your state has a few ideas of cities or locations that you might want to consider, list them. But also, what is nice is you're not having to work with all of that contracts or the bidding process. National has a contract with Helms Briscoe, who will do all of that legwork and behind the scenes stuff for you. So just be communicating, what cities that your host state might consider or think might be a good time, or even what might be a good time for your state. Because we have a June meeting coming up this year, July next year. We have one in September, and then we go back to August. So you're not stuck in any certain month, because some of the perks of when you're host is you got to make it work for when it works for your people or works for your guys' calendars. So really take a look into that. But as we go forward, happy to address any questions and work with you if you have some questions about hosting. There is a rotation. It is found in that policy handbook. And I can tell you right now, the page number is like page 14, or excuse me, it's section 7-15 on today's policy handbook. After the updated, I'm not sure what that number is, but it's a whole rotation for a schedule for when a person would bid and when they would hold the meeting. Same with when they would run for VP and so on and so forth. But that is my quick, can my state host an AMPIC, quick down and dirty, and I'll turn it back over to you, Paula. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Any questions for Connie? I didn't see anything in the chat. All right, we're going to keep moving on because we have about 25 minutes left, and we don't really want to keep you any longer than we said we would. So with that, I'm going to ask Aaron Esser, Western Region Director. He's going to talk to us about the scholarship program.
Can you guys see my screen?
We
Just
can, but we
on
can
my
see the
screen.
slides on the side.
What's that?
We can, but we can see the next slide on the side to the left.
Let me try this then.
It's not full screen yet.
There. Did that work?
It did not. But we can get the gist of it if you.
Video.
If you go to slides show, and then once you've hit that, go to beginning slide. That should work.
Slideshow up top on the.
On the PowerPoint.
Yes.
That's what I did hit. No, I went. Slideshow from beginning. Okay, I just clicked the little icon on the bottom. Is that better?
Try clicking it again.
Okay, anyhow, we'll see if how they advance here. I just have it on all three of my screens. I'm Aaron Esser. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the scholarship program. And this is one I think has always been considered, in my mind, the hidden gem of being an NACA member. It is, like I said, is one of the biggest benefits. With the scholarship program, it allows you a lot of opportunities. Some of them are they attend in-service trainings, going back to school. If you have a master's and you want to get a PhD, here's an opportunity to help you gain some more money to help pay for that. Traveled to an annual conference and/or meetings, and I'm going to specify not the national AMPIC, but other meetings. If you want to go to one within your society, like I might go to the American Society of Agronomy meetings, this would be a great opportunity to help generate funding to help send me to a professional improvement training. And I think you guys might correct me, but I think our international trips that we've been offering through NACAA will also qualify with scholarships. So there's a lot of opportunities here to attend. That was just a blank one. Oh, yes.
Yeah, Aaron, your slides aren't moving forward at all.
Why are they not? Hold on, stop. I stopped sharing. I'm gonna try just. I'm gonna get my PowerPoint actually started first. And then share maybe.
Yeah, give that a try.
Share. Screen 3.
I don't feel so bad.
No, yeah.
Take your time.
I'm just probably, it's the problem trying to do 3 screens. Trying to figure
Well,
out the
if
correct
nothing
one.
else, you can click on the left slide so they'll come up front. You know, like you just click on them on your left menu and just
Do you
carry
guys
on.
see it now?
Yeah, we see criteria for awards, June 1 cycle and the side slides. So just use the side
Oh,
slides.
you do see the side slides still.
That's all right. Just use them because
Okay.
we're going to run out of time.
Yeah. Anyhow, it's a, as I mentioned earlier, it's the gem, hidden gem. And I highlighted where to find it on the websites here. Here's your scholarship committee. If you have any questions besides talking to your regional directors, on the leadership and contacts, the program recognition council, here's what the committee looks like. Any of these guys are great resources to help you with this as well. The next
It's
one
not
on the
moving on ours, Aaron. Sorry.
what?
So click on the left menu slides just to move the slides and see if that'll work for you. Click on 2 funding cycles on the left.
That?
It's not changing. I don't know, you gotta. How about if you just make it in the view where we can see all of them?
Mm,
Or you could email it to Paula real quick if it's,
do you see it now?
there you go. Keep it that way. Just go ahead.
Okay. Is it moving?
It is now, yes.
I don't know what happened. I think I did the same thing, but just got different results.
That's okay.
Okay, here's your committee. They're under the Program Recognition Council leadership. A great resource. This one, there are 2 cycles now for the scholarship. It used to only be 1. If you weren't paying attention, it has changed to 2. One's in June and one's in December. And it has a whole list of what you can and cannot do here. And the amounts. Membership vested, you have to be vested for $100 to qualify for a $1,500 scholarship. And you have to be vested $200 for an additional $1,500 scholarship. And I think that's kind of new as well, having the second one there. And I'll talk a little bit about how to get invested in this program in a little bit. There's a June cycle, and this last right now I think there's 6 of them that have been submitted, and they're waiting to determine which ones are going to get funded and which ones may not. There's also the December cycle, and there were 8 submitted in December. All scholarship applications were accepted for December. A couple of them were team ones. So I talked about you can use it for different meetings. One of the team ones, I know Utah put together a team one where a group of them went to Australia, and 3 or 4 of the members used their scholarship money to go on the one to Australia. The one thing you got to do if you're putting together a team one is make sure that everyone on that team is invested with as specified here in the criteria. The last thing you want to do is put together a team of 4 of you to go, and then you submit your application and you find out one of your team members isn't fully invested or did not pay his dues. Make sure dues are paid and you're fully invested. There are examples on the website. Click here for examples. You can get it in the Word version or a PDF so you can see what we're looking for with these applications. All of it's here. It's under the awards and application, scholarship, and there's a sample application there as well. Okay, I talked about being invested, and how do you know if you're invested? Here's my dashboard, and if I come down here and click on view my contributions, it takes me to my page on what I've done. All the way back in 2007, you can see at the auction and special drawing, I bought a raffle ticket for $20. I bought another 2 raffle tickets in 2010. So overall, I'm invested right now at $240. I'm eligible for a $3,000 of professional improvement. I'm saving this specifically. One of the $1,500 ones I want to use is a trip to Australia to look at wheat production, and the second one will probably be to attend the American Society of Agronomy meetings the next time it fits in my schedule. Is my initial plan for this funding. But what a great opportunity for such a small investment to have such a wonderful opportunity. So any questions about scholarship? I kind of ran through it in a hurry and we had some screen snafus.
Any questions for Aaron? So to recap, by investing $200, you can ultimately have about $3,000 in scholarship funds. So take advantage of that. Start contributing if you haven't yet.
And just because I'm at $240, when they ask me if I want to buy a ticket, I probably won't say no. And if you take things to the scholarship, to the auction, that will help build your amounts or your donations. If you took a block of cheese to and put it in the auction, that also goes towards your contributions. If you buy something at the auction, I don't think that goes towards contributions, correct?
No,
What
'cause
your
you
item
receive the
brings,
product.
what your item brings is what you get credit
Is
for.
what you get, yes. Like we had an agent who always takes Cougar Gold cheese. So she's invested well over $200.
But the person that provides the item gets the credit, the person that buys it gets the product.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much, Aaron. A little slight change to agenda. Cynthia Gregg is going to say a few words about life members.
Thanks, Paula. I'm Cynthia Gregg. Was the president in 2016. For those of you who didn't know that, so thank you to my Virginia cohorts that are on here and everybody else. But life members is one of the things that I am aspiring to, hopefully here in about 3 years or less. So, but life members are the folks who generally have retired from extension. They actually pay dues. They pay a dues, and I forgot the amount, Paula. I didn't look it up before I got on here. Scott Hallbaker can probably rattle it off. I think it's what, yeah, I think it's 50. And then you pay for your subscription to the County Agents magazine and that kind of stuff on an annual basis. But life members, they are a great asset to your association. Connie was talking about your active members. Maybe you've got 9 or so. Get your life members involved. They can actually help you do a lot of things, not only your AMPICs, but help with recruiting members, help with planning your state meetings, help plan your tours that Sherry was talking about, the opportunity to learn about agriculture in that given state, those kind of things. So don't forget about those life members. They've been very active over the years in the association, and they continue to be. You'll see them at the annual meeting. They'll have the brown ribbon on. If you would actually like to go up and talk to them, I can think of a lot of folks right off, and I'm not even going to name names, from all over the country who, if you go up and say hello and ask them some questions, they are a wealth of knowledge about our associations. So keep them engaged. They can help you out once they're life members. Some of those things that you were talking about going to the Hill earlier with Scott Gabbard, sometimes our life members who are no longer employed have a little bit more ability to talk to even state and local legislatures, whether it be aldermen, Board of Supervisors, commissioners, whatever you happen to call them locally, senators, delegates, congressmen for the state level, and even national level. So just keep that in mind. And if you have any additional questions, Steve Monk is currently chair of that committee. And there are, again, as Connie mentioned, 4 regional vice directors from each region of the country. So if you have any questions, just let us know.
Thank you, Cynthia, for doing and sharing that. All right, that mostly covers everything we wanted to cover today. There's about 9 minutes before 2:30 here. Just want to open it up to any kind of final questions. Did we not cover something that you're hoping to get answered? Love to hear from some of the officers if you have any questions for anybody on the Zoom. So it says, please remind me in the chat what the code is for us to join the YAP. That's the app. Scott Hallbaker might be able to tell us that. In most meetings, we have that app that will have the agenda on it.
I can answer if you want.
Please, sir.
You're gonna get an email blitz about that. Bear with me and I can look it up on my phone. Because quite honestly, I didn't want to give the link until I had all the stuff uploaded on it, as far as the schedule goes, and I'm up through Monday. So by the end of tonight, the rest of it will be in. But if you already have the Yap, you need to download the Yap app on your phone. So just search WAPP, and once you get it downloaded, I can go ahead and tell you that for goodness sakes. I believe just search for NACAA 2025. It's
I was
that
gonna
simple.
say, usually it's under NACAA if you
Yep.
search, find
Yep.
it.
So like right now, I mean, I have published it so that I know is a valid app to search for, because I can see it right here on my phone. Just a little, I don't know if you guys can see my phone without it, but anyway, it's there. Just still working on the uploads of the schedule, but we will be sending out a blitz with that NACAA 2025 code. Look for
Thank
that on Monday.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else have any questions? All right, not seeing any in the chat and nobody's speaking up. I just want to thank all of the directors, obviously Scott Hallbaker and Vice President Connie Strunk for joining us, and Cynthia, thank you for jumping in with the life members as well. So with that, I think we'll end and look forward to seeing everyone in those of you that are coming to Billings, Montana. We look forward to seeing you in about a week or so, and hope you have a safe travel. Thank you.